Joining us now, she is the, of course, NVC Pitcher of the Year, All American candidate, leads the nation in many, many categories in pitching. We could go through all of them, but she doesn't have a lot of time because she's getting ready for a regional fresh off, winning the conference championship. She is Belmont's ace pitcher, Maya Johnson, joining us here on In the Circle D1 Softball, powered by 643. How does that sound there? Conference champion.
I think it's finally started to set in. I think the first couple of days, it didn't really quite feel real. I think I was still in a little bit of shock, and I know a lot of my teammates were as well. So I think today's been one of the days where it's like, okay, that actually happened. Like, here we go.
What's it been like? Because I know you've been knocking on the door. I remember last year you really made a big jump, and
Mhm.
Southern Illinois, a great program that's kind of developed to a cool rivalry between the two programs. You play them again in the championship game, and of course it was a great game there. What is it? What has it been like this last couple of years? You've been trying to knock on the door. Now you broke through. What's it been? Describe the last 2 years.
I think from the very beginning of our time in the conference, I knew that the series against Southern Illinois would always be high intensity and it would always be good. That first year in the conference, we took the series from them, and then last year they took, and this year they in regular season they took the series from us. And so even and then they knocked us out of the tournament my first year. So we have lots of games against Southern Illinois, and they are such intense competitors. It's always going to be a good show, a good ball game. So going into the tournament, knowing that that was probably going to be the last game, the championship game, my teammates and myself, we had talked about how when I was on the mound, I split with them in regular season. I won one of my starts and I lost the other one. And I said, well, they beat me once this year. They're not beating me again. And I think that goes back to everything that our team has done in the off season, and the intentionality we had in the areas we knew we wanted to improve on, both myself for pitching and then just as a team offensively and defensively. So I think us being really intentional and then learning from that regular season series, so that way we were prepared for the championship, was big for us.
One of the reasons I circled them every time you and Southern Illinois would play is you versus Jackie Liss, uh, which is like amazing. We've had her on the show earlier in the year. She's a fantastic player person. What's it like when you're playing some of the best like her head to head there, mano a mano?
Yeah, it's always going to be a good competition. I think she's definitely someone in the lineup that I pay attention to when it comes to someone stepping up to the plate. Even this past Saturday, going into the sixth inning, I had to face 2, 3, 4. So I started that inning when we were only up by one with Jackie. So I think there's always in the back of your mind that she can change the game in one swing. I mean, she put the game within one run on Saturday and her second at bat. So it's always going to be high intensity, and I think with her, it's usually either a home run from her, or I get the strikeout. I feel like we haven't had very in between results. Either she's taking me deep or I'm sitting her down. So it's always going to be a fun competition and a fun battle because she's going to give me her best and I'm going to give her mine. So that's definitely one of those people in the lineup that I have to pay attention to when I face her. But I also know that like I can compete head to head, and it's going to be a good battle.
Take me through that moment where that last out is made and you just won the conference championship.
Yeah. So before that last batter, I called a timeout for anyone that was watching. And I brought my catcher out and I said, this is it. We're going to win it here. And she goes, yeah, I got you. Like, let's finish it. So I just had so much belief in my team and in myself and my catcher, the people around me, that we were going to get it done on that batter. And when we did it, a little excited. I trucked my catcher. She's all right. A little high, came in a little hot there. Forgot that she still had to catch the ball once I saw the girl swing through it. So it was just an immense like energy letdown almost, because I think I was so high adrenaline through the game, and I had thrown so many pitches over the course of the conference tournament that I think I was just like, oh, we did it, and everybody came running out. It's a moment I'm never going to forget. It was incredible for my teammates and for myself.
What does it mean to be now part of the first ever Belmont team to win a conference championship, first Belmont team to get to an NCAA tournament?
I think that's huge. I think it's really fulfilling because when I came down here, when Coach Matthews took a chance to bring me down to this program when so many other programs weren't clearing me to play initially after my first season, I told her that we'd win a conference championship. We would bring a conference championship in my time at Belmont to Belmont. And so to be able to accomplish something that I set out for initially, it's just so fulfilling, and to do it around some of the people that I love more than anyone in the world. I mean, my teammates are my best friends, and so I think it's a really incredible honor to be able to represent the university on a national stage and to bring something that's never been brought to Belmont before for the softball program. And like I said, to do it around people you love, I couldn't ask for anything else because, like I said, my teammates are my best friends.
All right, so take me through selection Sunday night. You know you're in, so that's the best part. Is you know you're in,
Yeah.
but you don't know where you're going. So take me through it because it turns out you're gonna have to wait a while before your name comes up, and it comes up near the end in Tuscaloosa for the Tuscaloosa Arena. So take me through that whole sequence as a team as you're watching this. Where did you watch it? And then did you? I don't want to say did you start getting anxious? I mean, what was it like?
Yeah, so we were watching it in our student center as a team. We had a lot of our support staff. Some people's families were able to come, which was nice. And we knew we were going to get called, but then after each regional got announced and our name wasn't getting announced, we were like, "Oh gosh, where are we going?" And then we knew when it came down to a couple of regionals left, we kind of narrowed it down to where we might be. We didn't think Oregon was likely if they were going to be one of the ones that was a national seed because that's so far from us. So we knew once it got down to like only two left, it was either going to be at Virginia Tech probably, or it was going to be at Alabama is kind of what we had narrowed it down to. But there were so many regionals announced before that we were like, oh, this could be us. Like there was a lot of suspense, even though we knew our name was going to get called. It just every regional that would pass, we were like, okay, is this the one? Is this the one? And we thought for sure we were going to go to Knoxville because we're so close to Knoxville, just like travel wise, they were going to send us to Knoxville. So I think a lot of our team was just excited to go somewhere we've never been before. We've been to Knoxville for some midweeks, or my freshman year, we even played a tournament there my first year here at Belmont. So I think it's exciting to go somewhere we've never played. And yeah, when it was finally called, we were like, thank goodness.
Relief. That's funny. I was one of those that thought you might go to Tennessee there, but Alabama makes sense from a geography standpoint. So, what's your thoughts now? You're going to Tuscaloosa at the Roadhouse. You open with Virginia Tech, who could have easily hosted. So, they're a talented team there. Alabama obviously is talented, and Jackson State won their conference championship. Has a lot of speed. This is a fun regional. I think a lot of people are excited to see.
Yeah, I think there was initially a ton of excitement, and then I think a little bit of shock finding out that our first game was going to be against Tech. I don't think any of us thought that that's who we were going to pull for our first game. I think that, like for myself, I know I was surprised, but it's going to be an incredible regional with a ton of intense games. I know we're going to show up ready to play. I'm going to show up ready to pitch, and so I think no one's going to give in. And I think that Virginia Tech, our first game out, they might have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, especially because they were so close to being a national seed. So I think there's going to be a lot of intense softball, a lot of a call to the plate to step up and to make the big plays, get the clutch hits, make the big pitches. And so I think it's really going to be a test of like everything Coach Matthews has trained us for and our coaches have prepared us for throughout the course of the season.
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to watch your team play for the first time this year with the exposure. A lot of people are going to talk, and when they bring up your team, they bring you up, but you're not alone in this. Talk about the rest of the team, and what would you tell the audience that's going to watch you for the first time to describe this team?
I think one of the best things is that we play together. I don't think that there's a single girl on the field or in the dugout that's rooting against you. You wholeheartedly have the belief of every single one of your teammates. There's not a moment in a game that I can think of where there was someone at the plate or someone that a ball was hit to where I thought that the job wasn't going to get done. And I think that goes both ways. I think my team probably believes that for me too, but I have an incredible catcher that Brenna Bloom, who I'm able to put drop balls in the dirt and go super high up with my rise and out with my screw, even with runners in scoring position. I have an incredible defense, outfield, infield that makes diving plays. And I have some incredible hitters. I mean, I had some really clutch at bats, whether it just came to extending an inning to give me some more time this past weekend, or it came to giving us some insurance runs, like in the championship game when Nicole hit that 2-strike home run to put us up by 4. So I think that we're a team where every single person, all 22 people, are called on and has a role to get the job done. Like we are fully relying on every single person on our roster. It's not just the 9 that are on the field. It's every single person.
Tell me a couple of names on your team that you would tell the ESPN commentators and people, hey, make sure you give some shine and pump up this player because this player is a great player because she does blank.
That's hard to give you just a couple because I
Hey,
think that every girl on my team should have
all
their
right, give me
flowers.
as many as you want. Give me a handful here.
I'll give you all of them. Just look up our roster. I think every single girl on that roster deserves recognition because they've all played a crucial role at some point in the season, whether it's pinch running and getting the extra base. My freshman third baseman Riley Spindler is incredible. She plays like a veteran. We have some experienced people in the outfield, Emma Barnes and Bay, that have played their whole careers. And then you have a freshman, Maddie Balsiger, in left field who's stepping up for us. Maddie DeLucky, who stepped in big at shortstop when our shortstop got an injury and has locked it down on defense and had an incredible birthday when we won the championship, by the way. She had a home run. I think she went 2 for 3 or 3 for 3 that day. Just absolutely incredible. Emily Cockrell at second base. I'll name everybody. Also incredible. Makes so many plays. Is just a great support person for me. I already told you about Brenna. I have the rest of the pitching staff. So Ellie Giles, Rainer Cruikshanks, Mackenzie Willis, and Allie Middleton, who support me and I know will get the job done if I'm not out there. So just a ton of really incredible people and incredible human beings and teammates that I have. And every single one of them deserves more recognition than they're getting. I think I've probably gotten way too much of the spotlight. My teammates are incredible.
Let's talk about your head coach, Laura Matthews. You mentioned her earlier about giving you a chance. So tell me how you connected and what is it about her that you felt I want to play for her and has made her so successful in turning this Belmont program around?
Yeah, so I've known Coach Matthews for a long, long time, back when she was at Wright State before that program got cut. I'm an Ohio kid, so that's one of the schools I had naturally looked at because it was an in-state school for me through the travel ball circuit. And I had gone on a visit. Wright State wasn't a fully funded program. I loved Coach Matthews. That was one of the big things that had her in my top 5 at the end of my high school recruiting journey. They just couldn't compete financially because they weren't fully funded. But I always liked Coach Matthews. I had a great relationship with her initially. She reached out when I entered the portal when I was at University of Pittsburgh. She said, "Hey, I'm at Belmont, would love to have you." And I think I laughed and said, 8 hours away, no thanks. Like, sorry that you're crazy. Like, I'm not going to go 8 hours. So I think I laughed and was like, "Coach Matthews, I love you, but no thanks." And then where I had initially committed, that kind of fell through. The coach left to actually go to Bradley, another school in our conference. I was going to follow her there. The Bradley team physician would not clear me to play. So then I was left at Bowling Green, which is where I had committed initially without a head coach named, and just kind of like in a limbo phase. And Coach Matthews reached out again and said, "Hey, stars are aligning. Our pitching fell through. We would love to have you. I think you would love our program." And I had never visited Belmont. I really didn't look that much into it, but I trusted Coach Matthews. She had always been honest in the recruiting process with me. She showed a lot of interest in me throughout the travel ball circuit. And so I said, "Okay, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to come down. I'll come play for Belmont." And so, yeah, I came like a month later and it's been history ever since. I couldn't be more blessed and lucky to have found a coach like Coach Matthews.
Destiny. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. How are you different today than you were when you first got to Belmont?
I think one of the big things is that I have been a lot more relational with my teammates. I think it takes me a little bit to come out of my shell, even though I do like to talk a lot. So I think my relationships just in general with my teammates are so much stronger, even with the new girls, the freshmen on the team, so much stronger than they were in that first year or two that I was here. But I also think I'm better at handling adversity. I think I'd get a little bit more tense if something didn't go my way my first season here. I think that comes a little bit with just the immaturity of being a freshman and having never played college softball. So I think this year and this season, I respond a lot better to when something doesn't go my way. I mean, the UNI game, the semifinals of our conference tournament was a little bit of a slugfest. It felt like anytime they stuck the bat out to bunt, the ball was going over the fence. So being able to like see that, know my teammates were going to score and keep me in the game, and that I just had to keep competing for my teammates is something that I'm much better at now than I was my freshman year. I think my freshman year, I would have really struggled with that. So just in the face of adversity, either in the game or even in my personal life, I think I'm much better now than I was my first year.
I think a lot of people started taking notice about this team when you were on the West Coast and got some marquee wins there that you did on the West Coast. I think you beat Arizona State, for example,
Yes.
among others on that West Coast. What did that West Coast trip mean for this team?
I think so. I don't know if this is kind of a more not as well known fact. but in my first 2 seasons at Belmont, we competed really hard with some teams, but we could not pull out a Power Four win. It didn't matter who we played; we'd play them close. I mean, we dropped a game to South Carolina my first year, Ohio State. We played some Power Four teams and just couldn't get the win. And so Arizona State, we lost to Georgia Tech our opening weekend, 1-0 in 7 innings. But Arizona State was our first Power Four win in my time here, and so I think that was a huge turning point for us, even though it was so early in the season, because I think it really proved like, okay, if we can beat them, we can beat anybody. Like we are expecting to win and know that we can win against anybody when we step on the field. And I think it took us finally getting over that hurdle of beating Arizona State and beating a Power Four team to prove that we could do it and we can compete with anybody. Because then after that, we won our game against Purdue, we won our series against Maryland. Like that, I think just gave our roster as a whole and our program as a whole that belief and that confidence that we can compete and win against anybody.
And is that something that you'll use to this weekend in the regionals to say, hey, we can beat these teams. We've beaten good teams. Arizona State's in the regional. Georgia Tech's in a regional. Purdue was the first four out, as it turns out.
Yep.
That's got to give you confidence that you've played this type of competition before and maybe offset some of the, quote, not having the experience of playing in a regional.
Yeah, I think everybody talks about like how important it is for some of these national seeds to host a regional or to be a higher seed. And I think sometimes your mid-major programs get overlooked or we get looked at, even though they know that we can hang, we get looked at as the easier game. And I think for us, it's saying, hey, look at our resume, look at who we've beat and who we've hung with. I mean, we lost to Oregon 4-1. So like even in some of we lost to Georgia Tech 1-0. So like even in our losses, we're hanging, we're holding close and we're giving them everything we got. And so I think for us going into the regional, knowing that like we can hang, we're going to give people a run for their money and we're not expecting to just be two and done. We're expecting to go and compete and trying to make it to the regional final. Like that's the expectation amongst my teammates and myself. And that's the expectation our coaches have set for us is that we're going to go and compete with everybody.
Well, did you have favorite athletes growing up?
Yes.
Who'd you like?
Kat Osterman and Monica Abbott. I was actually pinned at the top of Monica Abbott's Twitter page for a while when I was younger. My dad was really big into long toss and he would tweet out like with the Jaeger band company. I've been doing Jaeger band since I was like 9 years old. He would tweet out like whenever I would get like a new long toss PR and Monica Abbott would always like it. I have pictures with Kat and Monica when I was really little. We won like the like rec ball state championship and I got to throw out like a first pitch at an Akron Racers game, which is like one of the first times I got to interact with them. And I have pictures with them from when they came to town and played there. So yeah, I was at the top of Monica Abbott's Twitter page for a little bit. She had bookmarked me there when a picture of me with Monica when I was like 9, and then there was a picture of me hitting 70 for the first time, I think a summer or two ago. So yeah, big full circle moment to be competing at some of these teams and at some of the places with some of the people that I've looked up to for a long time.
That's pretty good. Have you met them both?
Yes, I've met both of them. I've met Monica twice. I've met Kat once, but like sidelines because like the Women's Pro Fast Pitch League did a really great job and the MPF did a great job of making sure that like every girl got their ball signed. I have signed softballs by both of them. And then funny enough, there was actually a collegiate pitcher that played for the Akron Racers. She played at Notre Dame. Her name was Laura Winter.
Yeah.
That's where my sunglasses came from. I wear my sunglasses all the time. She wore her sunglasses at Notre Dame religiously when I was little. I had like a Notre Dame cup. I thought I was going to go to Notre Dame. But that's where I got my sunglasses from. And ever since I've worn my sunglasses like her. And I also have a signed ball from when I was little and met her when she played for the Akron Racers. So
that's really good. I love that. And you've got all these photos too. Well done. Yeah. Well done. What is your goal post softball? I mean, maybe, I'm sure you might, at some point, when your college career is done, you might want to consider looking at playing professionally. Certainly you're talented enough, but beyond that, what do you want to do beyond softball?
Yeah, I think if given the opportunity, I would love to play professionally. I think that's something that when I was a kid, that wasn't as realistic of a goal. I don't think just because you didn't have the same growth around the sport. So like obviously after college, I would love to continue my career in softball if that was possible. But I just graduated nursing school like 2 weeks ago. So I want to work in the pediatric ICUs as a nurse and then eventually go back to medical school and be a pediatric critical care physician.
Well, good for you. That's a lot more important than softball. I mean, but that's I'm sure if you wanted to stick around in softball, I think you could do that for absolutely sure. All right, last couple of things before I let you go. looking at this weekend, what are a couple of keys for your team to have a successful regional? What do you got to do? If we do blank, we'll have it. I like our chances. We'll have a successful weekend.
We need to stay within ourselves. I think for us, when we're playing Belmont softball and like what we've known to do for each other, we play our best softball. And so not making the moments bigger than they need to be and focusing on the little things and doing the little things right. We're not a team that's going to put 30 home runs out in a weekend a lot of the time. And so we have to do the little things right, get on base, string hits together, field cleanly, get good defense. And like I said, for me specifically, making my pitches, hitting my spots, executing there. And so doing the little things right and not making the moment bigger than it needs to be. Because if you're doing all those little things right, it's going to lead to a good outcome most of the time.
And then you mentioned Coach Matthews. Of course, she was at Rice Day, as you mentioned, when the program kind of shut down. She landed at Belmont. How much of you all play for her? Because I sense, even when you talk about it, there's a bond that you two have there. Is that accurate that you, as a players, kind of run through a wall for her there? Because this is a big moment for her as well.
Yeah, I think something that you get with a lot of coaching staffs, but you don't get with all of them is a coaching staff that cares about you as a person. And I think before anything on the field, Coach Matthews cares about each of us individually as people, and she makes sure that she has relationships built with all of us. I mean, Coach Matthews knows about what I'm doing in my classes. She knows if I have a hard day in my personal life. She knows so much more about us than just us on the field as her athletes. And I think that's one of the reasons we're willing to do anything for her, is because we know that she cares about us wholeheartedly outside of the sport, and she's going to continue to care for us when our careers are over. And so I think that's something that makes Coach Matthews really unique and that she does a really good job with, is that she genuinely knows you as a person and she cares about you as a human being before she cares about your performance with softball. And I think when you have a coach that does that, it's so much easier to perform at a high level for them, because you know that regardless of your performance, she's going to be proud of you and she's going to care for you and she's going to love you. And I think that just takes so much of the pressure off of your performance. Sometimes when you're only getting validation from a coach when you're performing well, it's really hard to consistently maintain your game. But I think when you know your coach is going to care about you no matter what, it just takes the pressure off the performance and you can perform at a higher level more consistently.
No doubt. No doubt about that. And she's done a great job, and you've done a great job yourself. This was a blast to catch up with you. I've been watching you pitch a lot this year, and I'm so happy that you all kind of got that conference championship. Good luck this weekend. I'll be following it very closely, and hope we'll do this again soon. But thanks for coming on here and telling your story and telling Belmont's story here on In the Circle and D1 Softball, powered by 643.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed getting to catch up with you and to actually have like a face-to-face conversation. So I appreciate you having me and getting to let me talk about how incredible my program and my teammates are.